Howdy doodly neighbors, Gregorious here. You know, the nerd you made fun of in high school before you peaked and lost all your hair and your waistline? Yeah, hey there Chuck. Miss the old quarterback days? With another video, this time on a newer indie title. Today, I'm doing a brief impressions video on ANNO MUTATIONEM on PS5. Before I dive in, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content and want more. You know you do. And follow me on Twitter for updates on videos, art, and anything related to me, which isn't much because I'm incredibly dull, like, painfully so. Oh god. Anyway, so in terms of science fiction, I'm admittedly a huge fan of the cyberpunk subgenre. I love films like Blade Runner, RoboCop, the original, Total Recall, also the original. I also have become a lover of anime, though much later in my life than you'd think. When you think of both concepts together, Akira, or Akira, comes to mind as one of my all-time favorites too. I love comics and stories that have settings like those. I've had a story idea inspired by cyberpunk elements that I've primarily created artwork for. And I obviously enjoy cyberpunk and anime-inspired video games. And before you ask, I didn't love Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I know, the title is Cyberpunk. But I didn't think it was that bad either. Granted, I never finished it and played the buggy PS4 version. Maybe I'll try the PS5 update sometime, but onto the game at hand! ANNO MUTATIONEM. At first, for a brief moment, I thought the title was some play on the protagonist's name, Ann or An, and something to do with mutants. Therefore, I wanted to push it off as a crappy title. But I channeled my time in college choir and wind ensemble and realized it was Latin. Ha ha! College knowledge. Useless. Quick Latin lesson. It means year of change. Huh. Poignant. Or pretentious? Anyway, for the story, what I've picked up on, it focuses on Ann, or An, Flores, who comes off as some type of lone wolf mercenary. She lives in a massive cyberpunk metropolis called Scop City and apparently is afflicted with a disease called entanglitis. Yep, okay. Apparently, the disease is cybernetic in nature, maybe? Look, all I've seen thus far is that she is accompanied by her friend Ayane, who seems to be, well, obsessively aggressive in her what comes across as lesbian advances toward Ann or An, which to some may be endearing, but I find kind of tedious. And that Ann/An's father is a robot, somehow. Yeah, you figure that one out. Oh, and An is apparently looking for her missing brother, who apparently is connected to the cure for her disease. I think, while I haven't progressed too far to piece together what's happening fully, it really doesn't matter. The game has an attitude and familiar yet somewhat unique world populated thus far by colorful and weird characters as to be expected. But let me touch on one thing that I do love, the presentation. The characters in-game are presented as 2D sprites, complete with fuzzy, unfocused details, and they can maneuver in both 2D and 3D against 3D backgrounds of cities, apartments, and alleyways so far. For those old enough, think of the overall presentation of Xenogears on PS1. It has a charm that I greatly appreciate, making it feel like a cross between an old side-scroller and the old adventure games I grew up with. Truthfully, it's one of the few cyberpunk-inspired games I've played in a long time that gives me a similar vibe to the Blade Runner PC game from 1997, which got me into this subgenre in the first place, and means I'm going to enjoy this no matter what shortcomings it has, which it does. As for gameplay, so far it's mainly exploration-based, but I have experienced some combat. In combat, it shifts to 2D and sees An jumping, sliding, using weapons, throwing grenades, and shooting guns as a backup. It's pretty standard and reminds me a lot of Mega Man games. It's not bad at all, but I can't add much more to it, so I'll move on to issues I've experienced. The biggest problem for me so far, other than getting accustomed to the switching between 2D and 3D movement, which causes me to bump into everything, is how the typed dialogue doesn't match what is said aloud by characters. Much of the script in this so far has no voice, but when it does, it's annoying for someone like me who can read quickly as a character speaks. Yes, I am one of those who doesn't hate subtitles because I was an English major after all, to hear something spoken that's different than what's read. Now, the voice acting so far is not bad, but it's irritating. Either way, this is an indie game that acts as another prime example of just how indie studios can create excellent games, and I look forward to exploring and completing it. I just hope that it continues to keep my interest and attention as I progress and doesn't falter in what it promises. It has a few issues, and its story so far is populated with some characters and mysteries that are confusing, but will hopefully become resolved as it goes. If you're like me and enjoy cyberpunk marrying anime styles and can appreciate stylized games that could fit back in the PS1 days, then check this one out. Well, that does it for me. Later.